In a modern world filled with materialism and technology, are we losing our connection to the deeper values of the spirit and inner wisdom? For centuries, spiritual enlightenment has been the goal of many ancient civilizations, and there is a secret organization, known by few, that holds the key to connecting all religions and systems of knowledge across the world. That organization is the Rosicrucian Order, one of the most influential mystical societies with a profound impact over the centuries. The Rosicrucian Order is not just an organization, it is a bridge between different religious traditions, from Christianity and Buddhism to ancient philosophies of both the East and the West. Their mission is not just to seek the truth, but to create a connection between the spiritual and the inner intellect, helping us gain deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe. Are you ready to explore the hidden secrets of the spiritual world that secret societies like the Rosicrucians have preserved for thousands of years? Join me as we dive into the Rosicrucian Order and discover how their teachings connect religions, opening a new world full of potential for those seeking spiritual enlightenment. Rosicrucianism, a profoundly intricate spiritual and cultural movement, traces its enigmatic roots back to early 17th century Europe, a time of great intellectual awakening and spiritual exploration. Born during an era rich with alchemical experiments, mystical philosophies, and the rise of secret societies, Rosicrucianism emerged as a beacon for those seeking deeper truths beyond the rigid boundaries of conventional religion and science. Over the centuries, it has transformed, adapting to modern contexts while retaining the profound esoteric wisdom that has defined it from the beginning. Today, Rosicrucianism manifests in various forms, influencing not just spiritual seekers but also thinkers, artists, and philosophers who are drawn to its timeless mystery. At the heart of Rosicrucian teachings lies a unique blend of esoteric traditions, drawing from a wide array of mystical and philosophical sources. It weaves together elements of mysticism, focusing on personal spiritual awakening and direct experiences of the divine, with the ancient science of alchemy, not just as a literal transformation of base metals into gold, but as a metaphor for inner purification and enlightenment. Christian Gnosticism also plays a pivotal role, offering teachings that emphasize hidden, divine knowledge, gnosis, accessible only through personal revelation. Alongside these core elements, Rosicrucian philosophy draws from Hermeticism, Kabbalah, Neoplatonism, and other ancient spiritual systems, creating a rich tapestry of wisdom designed to elevate both the mind and the soul. The origins of the Rosicrucian Order are cloaked in mystery and legend, traditionally linked to the elusive figure of Christian Rosenkreuz. According to myth, Rosenkreuz was a mystic philosopher who traveled through the Middle East, gathering sacred knowledge from sages, alchemists, and scholars before returning to Europe to establish a secret brotherhood dedicated to spiritual enlightenment and humanitarian ideals. Yet, most scholars agree that Rosenkreuz is not meant to be seen as a literal historical figure. Instead, he serves as a symbolic archetype, an embodiment of the seeker's journey toward divine truth and inner transformation. The name Rosicrucian itself is derived from the rosy cross or rose cross, powerful symbols that represent the union of mystical and earthly realms. The rose signifies spiritual unfolding and divine wisdom, while the cross stands for earthly experience and human suffering, together forming a symbol of balance, enlightenment, and the eternal quest for higher knowledge. The public emergence of Rosicrucianism can be traced to two anonymous manifestos published in the early 17th century: Fama Fraternitatis Rosae Crucis, dated 1610, which translates to the fame of the Brotherhood of the Rosy Cross, and Confessio Fraternitatis, or the Confession of the Brotherhood, dated 1615. In 1617, a third anonymous volume was published, The Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosenkreuz. While the first two texts serve as introductions to the laws, philosophy, and background of Rosicrucianism, The Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosenkreuz is particularly fascinating for another reason. It is drenched in profound allegorical symbolism. PT. Story follows the enigmatic Christian Rosenkreuz, who is invited to a celestial wedding. However, this is not an ordinary union. It is a chemical wedding, a term that implies a deep alchemical transformation. This symbolic journey reflects the ancient process of purifying and unifying opposing forces, akin to refining base metals into gold within the alchemical tradition. Throughout the text, Rosicrucian encounters a variety of symbolic characters and undergoes trials, each representing stages of inner growth and spiritual transformation. His experiences are metaphors for the initiate's journey toward enlightenment and the transcendence of dualistic consciousness where opposing energies, spiritual and material, light and dark, merge into harmonious unity. The chemical wedding not only presents an allegorical narrative of the alchemical process, but also offers a roadmap for personal spiritual transformation and illumination. These foundational texts hinted at the existence of a secret brotherhood, an enlightened collective of minds, guardians of ancient wisdom, subtly guiding the spiritual evolution of humanity from the shadows. Rosicrucian teachings revolve around the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment and inner wisdom, with the ultimate goal of unraveling the profound mysteries of existence. Central to the philosophy is the understanding and practice of metaphysical laws believed to govern the cosmos. Followers are encouraged to align their lives with these universal principles, fostering not only personal development, but also contributing to the collective advancement of humanity. The Rosicrucian path, therefore, is not just about secret knowledge, but about living in harmony with the spiritual laws of the universe, striving for balance, enlightenment, and the evolution of both self and society. In an era marked by profound turmoil, the enticing promise of spiritual transformation beckoned many, with manifestos sparking a deep quest for esoteric wisdom. Esteemed occult philosophers of the 17th century, such as Michael Meyer, Robert Flood, and Thomas Vaughan, exhibited a keen interest in the Rosicrucian worldview. In his fascinating work, Silentium Post Clamoris, written in 1617, Meyer offered an evocative portrayal of Rosicrucianism, tracing its origins to a primordial tradition. He wrote, "Our roots reach back to the Egyptian and Brahminic civilizations, intertwining with the profound mysteries of Eleusis and Samothrace. We draw inspiration from the Persian Magi, the intellectual pursuits of the Pythagoreans, and the enlightened thought of the Arabs." This passage has often been cited by modern organizations claiming Rosicrucian heritage to support the idea that the order's roots lie in ancient mystery traditions, philosophy, and myths, particularly those of ancient Egypt, dating as far back as 1500 BCE. While there is no definitive historical evidence to substantiate this claim, it's undeniable that Rosicrucian symbolism, principles, and rituals draw heavily from these mystical and ancient sources. Thus, while the institution itself officially emerged in the late 16th or early 17th century, its spiritual and philosophical roots seem to stretch much further back into history. Throughout medieval Europe, mystical knowledge was often hidden behind layers of symbolism and allegory, disguised in unexpected places. It could be found in the love songs of troubadours, the cryptic formulas of alchemists, the symbolic system of the Kabbalah, and even in the secretive rituals of knightly orders. One particularly intriguing figure from the 16th century, Francis Thin, an adept alchemist, produced a series of manuscripts that stand as potential landmarks in Rosicrucian history. His fascination with the occult is evident in his treatise Homo Animal Sociale, written on October 20th, 1578, where he explores subjects like Egyptian hieroglyphics and the teachings of the Druids. Thin delves into the complexities of notes, signs, tokens, characters, and vocal markers that differentiate sounds, demonstrating a clear passion for ancient knowledge. Thin's enthusiasm for Kabbalah resonates through his lament for what he saw as the loss of humanity's most profound wisdom. His reflections echo those of John Dee, the famed author of Monas Hieroglyphica. Thin even recounts how Hebrew letters remained unwritten until the descendants of Adam, particularly those before the Great Flood, preserved celestial knowledge, citing the ancient historian Josephus. Thin suggests that the descendants of Seth etched their understanding of cosmic phenomena onto pillars to safeguard their wisdom. Further weaving symbolic narratives, Thin subtly references the downfall of the Tower of Babel, criticizing the Masons responsible for its collapse, which, in his view, symbolized the loss of humanity's original, pure language. Around 1600, he also composed a series of poems hinting at the early days of a secret society forming in a rose tavern, potentially an allusion to the mysterious order whose symbol was a cross entwined with a rose. If one chooses to venture down this rabbit hole, countless clues scattered throughout the literature of that time seem to point to a hidden brotherhood, an enigmatic order whose emblem, the rosy cross, represents the profound spiritual mysteries and esoteric traditions they sought to guard. I'll be providing links to some of these historical works on my Patreon page, where the full transcript of this video will also be available. So the next question that naturally arises at this point is, who is the founder of the Rosicrucian Order? If we accept the conclusion that Christian Rosenkreuz is merely a symbolic figure, the only reasonable answer is that there is no single founder of the order. While Rosenkreuz may be a legendary archetype representing the spiritual seeker's journey, someone, or perhaps a group of individuals, certainly authored the Rosicrucian manifestos. It is widely believed that the true founders were not just one person, but a collective of intellectuals working together. This brings us into more speculative territory, where two figures stand out as potential contributors: Johannes Valentinus, Andrea, and Sir Francis Bacon. Andrea, a German theologian and writer of the late Renaissance, is often considered a plausible candidate. His extensive theological and philosophical knowledge, coupled with his well-documented literary abilities, makes him a strong contender for having contributed to the creation of the Rosicrucian manifestos. The utopian themes of spiritual enlightenment and societal reform expressed in the manifestos closely mirror the ideals Andrea frequently explored in his own writings. The most compelling evidence is Andrea's later reference to Fama Fraternitatis and Confessio Fraternitatis as a ludibrium, a jest or playful intellectual exercise. Some scholars suggest he may have downplayed his involvement to shield himself from the religious and political scrutiny of the time, considering the heavy persecution faced by those accused of heresy. There's also a theory connecting the Rosicrucians to the Knights Templar, who were brutally persecuted and executed for heresy in the early 14th century. Interestingly, symbols resembling the rosy cross appeared earlier in Portugal, particularly within the convent of the Order of Christ, the successor to the Knights Templar, where a rose can be seen at the center of a cross in the initiation chamber. This suggests that, if such a secret society did exist, its founders would have needed to remain discreet, using allegory and symbolism to mask their true intentions. Andrea was also associated with an intellectual circle in Tübingen, Germany, known for exploring esoteric ideas and advocating societal reform, aligning closely with Rosicrucian themes. This raises the possibility that he and his peers collaboratively contributed to the creation of these transformative texts. On the other hand, Sir Francis Bacon, an English philosopher, statesman, and advocate for empirical science, has also been proposed as a potential author. Bacon's vision of a society enlightened by knowledge and scientific inquiry resonates strongly with Rosicrucian ideals. His work, The New Atlantis, paints a utopian vision of a society governed by wisdom and scientific exploration, paralleling the transformative themes found in the Rosicrucian manifestos. Many scholars and enthusiasts have noted striking similarities in Bacon's writings and Rosicrucian texts, especially regarding the reconciliation of religion and science, the pursuit of knowledge, and the transformative power of wisdom. Despite compelling arguments for both Andrea and Bacon, it's important to recognize that these theories remain speculative. The true origins of the Rosicrucian Order and the authorship of the manifestos are still shrouded in mystery. It's more plausible that these texts were the result of a collaborative effort among like-minded intellectuals of that era. This brings us to the Invisible College, often considered a precursor to the Royal Society of London. The concept of the Invisible College appears in early German Rosicrucian pamphlets from the 17th century and was later referenced by Ben Jonson in his 1624 masque, The Fortunate Isles and Their Union. This secretive society symbolized a hidden network of wise and virtuous individuals influencing society from the shadows, echoing Rosicrucian ideals of enlightenment and reform. Many of the great thinkers of the time, such as Johannes Kepler, John Dee, Tycho Brahe, and Georg Joachim Rheticus, helped give rise to this idea of an invisible college. By the mid-17th century, this concept materialized into the Royal Society, officially founded in 1660. It was composed of scientists, philosophers, and mathematicians who regularly gathered to share experimental discoveries. Among them was Robert Boyle, a foundational member who referred to the group as the Philosophical College. Even Isaac Newton, deeply invested in alchemy and Hermetic philosophy, became a member, reflecting the profound overlap between Rosicrucianism and the esoteric scientific inquiries of the time. In conclusion, it is most likely that the Rosicrucian Order was not founded by a single individual, but emerged from the collaboration of prominent intellectuals of the era. These thinkers, united by a shared passion for esoteric wisdom, spiritual enlightenment, and societal reform, collectively shaped the mysterious legacy of the Rosicrucian tradition. But let's talk about Christian Rosenkreutz and his potentially symbolic meaning in this story. According to legend, Christian Rosenkreutz was born in 1378. He was said to be the last descendant of the Girls' House, a noble German family that had flourished during the 13th century. Their castle stood in the dense Thuringian forest on the border of Hesse, and they had embraced Albigensian or Cathar doctrines, a fusion of Gnostic and Christian beliefs. The legend recounts a tragic fate for his family, who were executed by Conrad von Marburg, a ruthless inquisitor determined to stamp out heresy. Only the youngest son, just 5 years old, survived. He was secretly rescued by a monk who was an Albigensian adept from Languedoc, a region in southern France historically associated with Catharism. The boy was taken to a monastery already under the influence of Albigensian teachings, where he received a profound education and eventually became acquainted with 4 other brothers who would later join him in founding the Rosicrucian Brotherhood. Thoughts, Heber Crane? Story continues with Rosenkreutz being prepared for a spiritual pilgrimage to the Holy Land. During this journey, he is said to have traveled to Damascus in Egypt to deepen his understanding of ancient spiritual traditions. His quest for enlightenment eventually led him to Dakar, where he was initiated into the magnum opus, or the great work of the alchemists. From there, he ventured to Fez in Morocco, a renowned intellectual hub at the time. Fez is home to the University of Al-Qarawiyyin, founded in 859 AD, often regarded as the world's oldest continuously operating university. During his time in Fez, Rosenkreutz allegedly studied under Turkish, Arab, and Persian sages, possibly including Sufi or Zoroastrian masters. It was here, according to legend, that he encountered the mysteries of elemental beings and developed a profound understanding of nature and the cosmos. The esoteric philosopher Manly P. Hall wrote that from the Arabians, Rosenkreutz, CRC, learned of the elemental peoples, spiritual entities believed to inhabit the ethereal world. Through their aid, it was said to be possible to access realms beyond ordinary mortal perception, the dwelling place of genii and nature spirits. In the vast desert, far from civilization, astrologers instructed him on the secrets of the stars, the powers contained within the astral light, the rituals of magic and invocation, and the preparation of therapeutic talismans. They also revealed to him the art of binding the genii, gathering medicinal herbs, transmuting metals, and even manufacturing artificial gems. Rosenkreutz supposedly mastered the secrets of the elixir of life and the universal panacea, a mystical cure-all capable of healing all ailments. During his time in Fez, Rosenkreutz allegedly studied under Turkish, Arab, and Persian sages, possibly including Sufi or Zoroastrian masters. It was here, according to legend, that he encountered the mysteries of elemental beings and developed a profound understanding of nature and the cosmos. The esoteric philosopher Manly P. Hall wrote that from the Arabians, Rosenkreutz, CRC, learned of the elemental peoples, spiritual entities believed to inhabit the ethereal world. Through their aid, it was said to be possible to access realms beyond ordinary mortal perception, the dwelling place of genii and nature spirits. In the vast desert, far from civilization, astrologers instructed him on the secrets of the stars, the powers contained within the astral light, the rituals of magic and invocation, and the preparation of therapeutic talismans. They also revealed to him the art of binding the genii, gathering medicinal herbs, transmuting metals, and even manufacturing artificial gems. Rosenkreuz supposedly mastered the secrets of the elixir of life and the universal panacea, a mystical cure-all capable of healing all ailments. When Christian Rosenkreuz died at the age of 106, his brethren buried him in a secret seven-sided vault deep within the house of the Holy Spirit. According to legend, this vault was filled with magical symbols and allegorical images, an esoteric masterpiece that held layers of hidden meaning. At the very center of the chamber lay an altar, upon which rested the perfectly preserved body of Rosenkreuz. The Fama Fraternitatis tells us that this mystical vault was discovered 120 years after his death. When the brothers opened the tomb, they found it illuminated by an artificial sun, a symbol of enlightenment and higher knowledge. Among the treasures inside was a compendium of Rosenkreuz's vast accumulated wisdom, inscribed in the enigmatic Book M. The discovery of the vault was seen as a divine signal to reveal the existence of the Rosicrucian Order to the world. This event marked the beginning of the public spread of Rosicrucian ideas and teachings, igniting a wave of curiosity and spiritual exploration across Europe. The vault itself, adorned with profound symbols and allegories, represented not only the extraordinary knowledge of Rosenkreuz and his brethren, but also the spiritual and intellectual legacy they left behind. Some occultists, including Rudolf Steiner, Max Heindel, and Guy Ballard, even claimed that Rosenkreuz later reappeared as the mysterious Count of Saint-Germain, a legendary courtier, adventurer, and alchemist who allegedly died on February 27, 1784. Steiner even speculated that Rembrandt's painting A Man in Armor could be a symbolic depiction of Christian Rosenkreuz in a 17th century incarnation. It's a beautiful, enigmatic tale, one that leads seekers down many winding, mysterious paths. But beyond the legend, the symbolic meaning behind these stories is equally fascinating. Remember, this narrative comes directly from the Rosicrucian manifestos, and like most Hermetic and alchemical texts of that era, it is steeped in symbolism. The manifestos never explicitly state the birth or death years of Rosenkreuz. However, hints within the second manifesto suggest 1378 as his birth year, and given the claim that he lived to be 106, his death would have occurred in 1484. The founding of the Rosicrucian Order is similarly implied to have taken place around 1407. Yet many scholars of occultism believe these dates are not meant to be taken literally. Instead, they interpret them as symbolic, representing hidden truths accessible only to those initiated into esoteric wisdom. The manifestos themselves support this interpretation, stating, "We speak unto you by parables, but would willingly bring you to the right, simple, easy, and ingenious exposition, understanding, declaration, and knowledge of all secrets." One of the most iconic symbols described in the Fama Fraternitatis is Rosenkreuz's seven-sided vault. Each of its walls was inscribed with 10 mysterious symbols or figures. While the manifesto never elaborates on their meanings, later occult groups, such as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, adopted and expanded upon these symbols in their own rituals and teachings. In fact, the foundational structure of the Golden Dawn's initiation grades was heavily influenced by Rosicrucianism, and many of its founders were also Master Masons and members of the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia. The metaphorical nature of Rosenkreuz's legend adds an elusive, mystical quality to the origins of Rosicrucianism. The opening of his tomb is often seen as a symbol of nature's cycles, cosmic events, and the awakening of new possibilities for humanity, particularly during the scientific and spiritual revolutions of the 16th and 17th centuries. Similarly, Rosenkreuz's pilgrimage can be viewed as an allegory for the transformative stages of the great work of alchemy, symbolizing spiritual purification, enlightenment, and inner transmutation. This motif echoes through other mystical traditions as well. For instance, Wolfram von Eschenbach described the Holy Grail as the lapis exilis, guarded by the Knights Templar, much like the alchemist's pursuit of the philosopher's stone. the elusive lapis elixir said to grant eternal life and unlimited wisdom. These recurring legends, rich in symbolism and hidden meanings, continue to inspire and challenge seekers on their quest for enlightenment and understanding. Also, Rosicrucian's crypt, according to the description presented in the legend, is said to be located deep within the interior of the earth. This imagery directly recalls the famous alchemical motto, vitriol, an acronym for Visita Interiora. Terra rectificando invenies occultum lapidem, translated as, visit the interior of the earth, and by rectification, thou shalt find the hidden stone. This ancient phrase holds profound symbolic meaning. Visit the interior of the earth is not to be understood literally but metaphorically. It serves as a call for introspection and self-examination. In this context, the earth represents the self, particularly one's inner life, including the unconscious mind and the hidden depths of the soul. It invites the seeker to embark on a journey within, delving deep into their own psyche to confront and understand their true nature, thoughts, desires, fears, and hidden motivations. The next part of the motto, rectificando, refers to the process of correction and purification. After conducting a thorough examination of the self, one must confront their flaws, weaknesses, and errors. This process involves moral refinement, personal growth, and spiritual discipline, a journey of healing and transformation aimed at aligning the individual with their higher purpose. Finally, invenies occultum lapidem, you will find the hidden stone, symbolizes the ultimate reward of this inner alchemical journey, the discovery of the philosopher's stone. In this spiritual context, the stone represents self-realization, enlightenment, or profound inner transformation. Just as alchemists sought to transmute base metals into gold, the spiritual alchemist strives to transcend base desires, purify the soul, and achieve a higher state of consciousness. This metaphorical gold is a symbol of spiritual purity, wisdom, and inner peace, a state of being where one rises above material attachments and embodies their highest self. The Rosicrucians were not only deeply versed in esoteric knowledge, but were also adept practitioners of spiritual alchemy. They understood that the true great work wasn't about literal transmutation, but about transforming the soul, purifying the self through wisdom, introspection, and spiritual growth. Their influence, however, didn't stop there. The Rosicrucians left an indelible mark on Freemasonry, shaping its symbolism, rituals, and philosophical foundations. Many Masonic traditions, especially those tied to esoteric knowledge and spiritual enlightenment, owe their roots to Rosicrucian teachings. The cryptic symbols, the focus on inner transformation, and the quest for enlightenment that permeate Masonic practices can all be traced back to the Rosicrucian legacy. This deep connection reflects a shared belief that the true path to enlightenment lies not in external riches or power, but in the profound journey inward, where the hidden stone of wisdom and spiritual awakening awaits those brave enough to seek it. In fact, two Rosicrucian-inspired Masonic rites emerged toward the end of the 18th century. The first was the rectified Scottish rite, which became widespread in Central Europe, where the golden and rosy cross held a strong presence. The second was the ancient and accepted Scottish rite, first practiced in France, within which the 18th degree is known as the Knight of the Rose Cross. These rites reflected the deep influence of Rosicrucian philosophy on Freemasonry, blending mystical traditions with esoteric symbolism. According to Manly P. Hall, the secret doctrine that flows through Freemasonic symbols, and to whose preservation the invisible Masonic body is consecrated, has its roots in three ancient and exalted orders. The first is the Dionysiac artificers of ancient Greece, the second is the Roman Collegia, and the third is the Arabian Rosicrucians. In his work Lectures on Ancient Philosophy, An Introduction to the Study and Application of Rational Procedure, Hall explains that the ancient mysteries of Egypt and Persia, which had found refuge in the Arabian deserts, eventually made their way into Europe through the Knights Templar and the Rosicrucians. Hall further describes how the Temple of the Rose Cross in Damascus had safeguarded the secret philosophy of Sharon's rose. The mystical essence of Lebanon's juices still echoed, the ancient mysticism of Syria, and the dervishes, leaning on their carved and crotched staffs, continued to meditate on secret teachings passed down since the era of the four caliphs. From the hidden retreats of the Sufi mystics in Iraq, this ancient wisdom eventually found its way into Europe, enriching Western esoteric traditions. Several initiated Rosicrucians were brought from the European mainland to England, where they remained for some time, shaping the symbolism of Freemasonry. They infused the rituals of the order with divine principles and philosophical concepts that formed the core teachings of all great secret societies, tracing back to the ancient Eleusinian mysteries of Greece. Hall suggests that these mysteries persisted in Christian lands until the 6th century AD, after which they were absorbed and preserved by Arabian scholars, a fact reflected in the presence of Masonic symbols and figures on early Islamic monuments. The adepts who came from the continent to collaborate with English philosophers were initiates of Arabian rites. Through their influence, these ancient mysteries were reintroduced into Christendom. Once the foundational bylaws of this new fraternity were completed, the initiates returned to Central Europe, leaving behind a group of disciples tasked with developing an external organization. This outward structure served as a protective screen, concealing the deeper esoteric activities of the inner order. This secret society of Central European adepts formed the foundation upon which modern Freemasonry was built. For those who delve into its history, this hidden brotherhood serves as the definitive link between the ancient wisdom traditions and the modern Masonic craft. The outward philosophical teachings of Freemasonry acted merely as a veil for this Kabbalistic order, whose members were the true guardians of the great arcanum, the ultimate esoteric mystery. But does this inner and secret brotherhood of initiates still exist, operating independently of the Freemasonic order? According to Hall, evidence suggests that it does. These august adepts are regarded as the true preservers of the secret operative processes known to the ancient Greeks, techniques believed to facilitate personal enlightenment and spiritual completion. They are considered the guardians of the lost word, the keepers of the innermost mysteries. For the Mason who dares to seek and ultimately discovers this hidden order, the reward is said to be beyond all mortal estimation, a revelation of profound spiritual truth and timeless wisdom. So, as you can see, Rosicrucianism is far more than just a myth. It stands as one of the primary keys to unlocking the history of Western esotericism. Its influence stretches far beyond ancient legends. It has left a profound mark on history and played a significant role in shaping modern society, whether we realize it or not. Rosicrucianism is a pivotal junction in the evolution of modern spirituality, a fork in the road that has quietly steered the course of philosophical, scientific, and mystical development. At first glance, it might seem like this legendary mystery school has faded into the shadows of history, but in truth, its teachings and practices continue to be shared with those who seek true illumination. However, a word of caution: beware of those who claim to be descendants of the Rosicrucians. Many today, shrouded in arrogance and misunderstanding, have diluted and distorted this ancient wisdom, adapting mere fragments of Rosicrucian knowledge into shallow New Age practices. These diluted teachings often overlook the foundational lessons that lie at the heart of true Rosicrucian philosophy. These fundamental lessons are not about acquiring secret powers or esoteric symbols. They are about cleansing the soul through the practice of compassion, the acceptance of universal knowledge, the desire to heal and protect, and the continuous advancement of spiritual development. Only when these core principles are fully embraced, with a pure and sincere heart, can someone genuinely call themselves a follower of the Rosicrucian tradition. And with all that said, the rest is up to you, fellow mystic. It's your journey now, to connect the dots, to explore, and to discover the hidden truths that lie behind the veil. Remember, this is just an introduction to the Rosicrucian mysteries and part of a much larger exploration into this ancient and enigmatic tradition. Now, with everything we've discussed, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you believe Christian Rosenkreuz was a real historical figure? Or do you think his story is simply an allegory? a symbolic narrative meant to reveal the deeper truths and history of the Rosicrucian Order. Share your reflections in the comments below. We want to sincerely thank you for taking the time to watch the video in its entirety. If you're interested in exploring more topics on spirituality, inner transformation, or mind philosophy, don't forget to subscribe to the Top Hidden Knowledge channel for more content on wisdom, spirituality, and personal growth. Or, if you have time, check out other videos on this channel. Until next time.